You can still find those, if you search real hard, those rabbit documents, but for the most part, they're not as prevalent and not shared as much as the, put 2 hens in your backyard. Now, Uncle Sam wants you to raise hens. And so the rabbits were some of those meat sources that got our grandfathers and great-grandfathers and grandmothers through that Great Depression time. Now, out on the farm, they didn't have that problem. But in the cities, this is how they raised and had meat during the Great Depression, was with the meat rabbits. Now, World War II happened, and once again, people were encouraged to raise their victory gardens, raise animals, take the burden off of the commercial farms and the commercial meat producers so they could send it to the troops overseas. Then after World War II, 2 things happened. There was a huge boom in population, which meant that the fastest meat to market would win. So that's why chicken became more popular after World War II. And the other reason why rabbits fell out of favor is because people started poo-pooing on fur. Right? That late 40s, early 50s was when that anti-fur thing started to occur. And so if there was no demand for fur and chicken was getting to the market faster, rabbits fell completely out of favor. And so there was a mass shutdown of the commercial rabbit farms during that time period. And we almost lost the American chinchilla it almost got obliterated because when the farm shut down, rather than selling off the animals, they just euthanized all of them. And the only reason the American chinchilla survived is because some of the people who worked in those farm factories stole them out of the farm because they didn't want them all to die. And that's the only reason the American chinchilla has stayed on as a breed. It was endangered from the 80s and 90s. Like there was less than a couple hundred pairs of them in the United States. But they've since seen a resurgence. So I said all of that to say that, I know you're like, oh, thanks for the history lesson. This isn't what was on the, but I said all of that to say this, is that when somebody looks at you and says, oh, I would never eat a rabbit, then you can look at them and say, well, any of your ancestors that lived in the United States probably ate rabbit and enjoyed it. And the other thing that happened in that 40s and 50s time period is cartoons. And we started getting these talking animals. And so the humanization of animals came in. Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, and this is when that anti-meat ideology started coming up. Oh, I can't eat an animal. Look, they have souls, they have emotions. Yes, but at the same time, we were told, take and eat. And so for me, if it grows and has meat, I've been commanded to take and eat. So other than humans, just so you guys are safe. How many of you guys have seen that billboard on the road, and it has like dogs and cats on one side, and then there's a rabbit and a horse, and it says, "Where do you draw the line? What's meat and what's pet?" And I'm like, it all works for me. I see a buffet. Sorry, I know. But listen, we have to remember, and I'm going to say this very carefully, we are spoiled here in the United States to be able to walk into a store and not have to see the animal, touch the animal, feed the animal, and walk out with enough meat to where we can be gluttons for the rest of our lives. But there are places where they don't have that opportunity. They got to raise and kill and eat whatever they can. We're talking rats, we're talking snakes, we're talking bugs, whatever. So I would encourage you, don't turn up your nose at an opportunity to eat something that is beyond what would be considered normal here in the United States. My first experience of eating something that was beyond the normal was guinea pig in Ecuador when I was 15 on a mission trip. And I loved it. It was amazing. It was great food. They are raised in South America, not as pets, but as livestock. They call them cavi. And so we have to get that understanding. Japan, horse is one of the most valuable and prized delicacies in Japan. In France, horses at every restaurant. I had a buddy tell me that in certain parts of France, you can get a horse burger at McDonald's. In their fast food restaurants. Okay, not necessarily McDonald's, but in their fast food. The French fast food. Horse is a common thing. And obviously we all know about dogs and cats in other parts of the world. And we won't go there, but remember, when you're hungry, everything's meat. Except for humans. We draw a line there. That's where I draw the line.
Where's the guinea pig from?
The guinea pig is from South America originally. Right? Peru, in the Andes Mountains is where the guinea pig was originated. Once again, the ones that were brought up here to the United States to be pets, they were selectively bred to be smaller and smaller. But down there, they breed them to be bigger. We're talking 7 to 8 pounds live weight to become food. So all of that was just to encourage you to defend your choices when it comes to, if you decide you're going to eat rabbit, I encourage you to do some research about why, the history behind it, because you will have to defend yourself to somebody, whether it is a family member, a neighbor, a friend, a church member, somebody who thinks that you're breaking some kind of rules by eating rabbits. So I would encourage you, do a little more research so you have an understanding about the rich history of meat rabbits in our country. Yes, ma'am.
Is meat rabbits like tough? Can you eat them like chicken, or do you have to use?
We will get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna go through. We got about 15, 20 minutes here, and I'm going to go through and highlight a few things for you. We're going to talk about breeding stock, the breeds to choose, where to get your breeding stock, housing them, feeding them, what breeding looks like, the babies, and then we're going to do a live processing demo. So at that point, I'll give you a little bit of a warning. I'm not just going to turn around and kill the rabbit all of a sudden. So if you don't want to watch that right now, I'll give you a couple-minute warning so you can walk out or turn your back or whatever until it's done. And then if time allows, while I'm doing cleanup and stuff here before the next lecture comes in, we'll do some a little bit of Q&A. But I will also be at the booth, Independence Acres. We are right in front of the big pavilion over here. So we'll be there all day asking questions. Answering questions. All right, so yeah, I can ask questions too. I like asking questions, getting to know people a little bit. Okay, so breeding stock. If you're interested in getting into rabbits, these are the breeds you're going to look for. All right, I'm going to go fast. Be ready.
California.
Commercial breeds. These are Californian, just like the state. 1, 2, 3. Second one's New Zealand. Just like the country. American chinchilla, spelled just like the animal. And Rex.
Spell that for me. How you spell that?
Rex?
R-E-X.
Like T-Rex. And you're going to learn something, just like T-Rex. You're going to learn something else today. Anybody homeschool kids? Homeschool kids learning Latin. Anybody learning Latin? What does Rex mean?
Rex means
King.
King. He was the Tyrannosaurus king. Rex is called the king of rabbits because of the quality of its pelt, how fast it grows for meat. But also, the pelts were reserved only for use by the royal family, by royal families in Europe. So that's one of the reasons why they're called Rex, because it is a very plush. Story Velveteen Rabbit, based on a Rex rabbit, right? It is a very soft, lovely fur. If you haven't had an opportunity to feel one, find Rex rabbits. You will fall in love, if nothing else, just to pet it. They are number one for therapy rabbits because it's just silky smooth. All right, so those are your breeding stock. Now, where do you find them? Okay. Number one, cheapest place to find them, easiest way. I'd not highly recommend it, but we're going to start with the cheapest. Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. Right? Social media. More than likely, these are going to be people who are raising rabbits and they have a lot of them, they just need to get rid of them. Are they going to be the highest quality? Probably not. Are they going to be standard of perfection for each of these breeds? No. Are you going to win any shows at 4-H with them? No. Are they going to be edible? Yes. Yes. Main rule of meat rabbits. All domestic rabbits are meat rabbits. I don't care how big they are, how small they are, how pretty they are, how ugly they are. They all taste the same. Okay? Once the fur's off, they're just difference in sizes. Okay. So, social media. They're not going to win any beauty contest, and they're not going to be perfect. But they will be cheap, and they will be ugly. If you are wondering, do I really want to get into meat rabbits? This is your first place to go. You're just looking for a rabbit or two to practice processing yourself, to learn how to process. You want to make sure the family is going to eat the rabbit. Go buy a rabbit, process it, eat it. That's it. We're talking as cheap as $5 a rabbit because these people are desperate to get rid of their rabbits because they are culls, meaning they're going to be removed from their herd. They're not going to be used for breeding, not going to be used for shows because they're probably poor quality. They're not growing well. They might have a bad foot, a bad ear, a bad eye, bad teeth, whatever. Don't buy them and breed them. Buy them and eat them. That's for that. Second place I would recommend, and I put this in the middle because it's going to be probably your best price point, but I also put these in the middle because this is also going to be your opportunity to meet other people who breed meat rabbits in your area. That is at 4-H fairs. Okay? Go to your local 4-H fair. Go to the rabbit barn. Usually in the back corner there's a sign up that says meat pens, fryers, roasters. Those are going to be your commercial breeds that were bred and brought to the fair. Let me tell you though, you're not going to buy those ones. But you're going to find out who owns those ones. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a kid, a female. You don't go in there ask to talk to the breeders. Okay? Don't do it. You will go to jail. Okay? Guys, don't go by yourself and walk in and say, "Excuse me, little lady, I'd like to talk to you about your rabbit." Don't do it. You will get labeled as a predator, get thrown out, or go to jail. Don't do it. Don't recommend it. Make sure a lady is with you. If you have children, have your children with you. Yeah, you're getting it, aren't you? But you finally clicked, didn't it? You're like, yeah. All right. You're going to want to walk in, find out who owns those rabbits. You're going to want to go find out either what day the auction is, because that's when the breeders are going to be there for the auction, or when the showing of those rabbits is, because that is when the owners of those rabbits are going to be there. Okay? If you are a single guy and you don't have anybody to go with you, the first thing you ask is your mom or dad here? Is there an adult that can talk with us about me possibly buying a couple of your rabbits? Okay. Once you are engaged with the owner of those rabbits, compliment them. Beautiful rabbits. I love the way they look. However, I was wondering if you have some of their litter mates that didn't qualify for the show because they don't meet standard of perfection. And that can mean it's an all-white rabbit, a white New Zealand, but it has one black hair. Disqualified from the show. Could be it has a black toenail. Disqualified from the show. If the coloration was a little off on the Californian, or there was a patch of hair in the wrong place for certain animals, they're disqualified from the show because they don't meet standard of perfection. But if they have siblings from that litter, or any other stock that didn't meet standard of perfection, but might be available for sale, this is going to give you two things. Like I said, you're going to be able to get quality stock right away. Right? This is where you're going to get that good breeding stock. It's also going to get you connected with a community in your area that is already raising rabbits. And I can guarantee you that they all know how to process rabbits. They all know how to properly sex a rabbit. They all know how to properly evaluate a rabbit. So you're going to get good stock from them, and you're going to have inroads into the meat breeding community in your area. So it's a two for one deal there, right? And if you have kids, this is also an opportunity for you to get involved in 4-H and show your rabbits, right? Okay, then, here's why we don't buy the ones that are in the cages. I mean, if you have a lot of expendable income, go for it. But the ones that are there at the show, those are going to auction usually at the end of the fair, and they're going to go for anywhere from $300 to $1,000 a rabbit. Not because you're buying the rabbit, but you're paying for that kid's experience, and you are investing in that child. If you have that fund available, do that, please. We need more people that are raising meat pens for fairs. Buy those rabbits if you want to. But if you're looking at a grand champion or a best in show, you will be paying $300 to $1,000 for that rabbit. Once again, you're investing in the child at that point, not in the rabbit. But if you can, do it, all right? Now, the very last place that I would recommend you looking for meat rabbits, these are going to be the highest priced rabbits. These are going to be ones that are going to meet standard of perfection. These are going to be rabbits that are registered with the American Rabbit Breeders Association of America. No, American Rabbit Breeders Association, not of America again. Sorry, I always do that. It's the American Rabbit Breeders Association. I always threw the extra of America on there because I'm like, what's that last A stand for? Oh yeah, association. I already said it. Okay, go on to the ARBA website. ARBA, American Rabbit Breeders Association. And you can search by state, you can search by breed, and even by county. And this will give you a contact to somebody who is a registered breeder in your area and somebody who has registered rabbits in your area. This means that they are pedigreed, they have records of the up to 3 generations back of that rabbit, but you're going to pay for that. $75 to $150 a rabbit on average. Now, is that crazy money? No, because that single rabbit has potential to produce 600 pounds of meat for you every year. So don't automatically disregard it because of the cost, but I do recommend it as your last point of your last ditch effort if you can't find rabbits any other way. Now, when you go to buy rabbits, somebody might say it's a $60 rabbit, but if you like it pedigreed, it's going to be $70 or $80. They're going to charge extra for pedigreed or papered rabbits. Is that good? Yes. Is it necessary? No. Pedigree just means that they have a record 3 generations back. It does not mean the rabbit is purebred. It does not mean that it is a perfect rabbit. It does not mean that it is the most beautiful rabbit. It just means a record of its genetic history. Now, that might be important if you're looking for a specific line of rabbits. Just like sheep and horses and everything else, certain farms have certain lines, and people pay a lot of money to buy an animal that is from that line of animals from that farm. So, if you feel that it's necessary for you, do it. But it is not necessary. Don't let somebody say, well, it's pedigreed, and don't let that sway your opinion. If it's an ugly rabbit and it has problems, I don't care if it's pedigreed. It just means they have a record of its parentage. Doesn't mean it's a good rabbit. All right. Now we're going to step to the next one. The next section here. That's housing your rabbits. As I stated before, 4 to 6 square feet is all that's necessary to raise an adult rabbit. The American Rabbit Breeders Association, let's stop there, says that you need 6 square feet per adult large breed rabbit. All of your commercial breeds that are raised for meat are considered commercial large breeds. They need 6 square feet of rabbit. That looks like a 2 foot by 3 foot cage. We do a 24-inch by 30-inch cage, and then we add a 2 foot by 1 foot resting platform halfway back. So they have a full 6 square feet of space. However, there is nothing wrong with keeping a rabbit in a 2 by 2 cage. The rule is, as long as they can stretch out completely on the ground, and as long as it's about 16 inches tall to where they can get up on their back paws and stand up on their back paws, and their ears don't touch the cage, the roof of the cage. Right? So it's perfectly acceptable. Other great things about cages for rabbits is that you can stack them. There are cage stacks out there that can go up to 3 high. So you've only got a 6 foot square space on the floor, but you're going 3 high for rabbits. Right? Now, there are some people who might push back on that and say, oh, you don't want to raise rabbits on wire because it'll hurt their feet. And if you have poor quality rabbits, that is true.
Let out the cow.
Wow. All right. So on all rabbits, on their back legs, they have the toe area and then the hock, or the large pad that they rest on. And if it doesn't have the appropriate amount of fur there, they will wear and they'll get sores on that. That's called sore hocks. And it's very common, especially in Rex breeds, because their fur is sometimes very fine. And so they don't always have that fur. But wire is better than a solid bottom because wire allows manure and urine to fall down away from the rabbit. Rabbit manure is very good for your garden. Rabbit urine is very bad for rabbits. It will scald them. They will get urine burn on their skin. They will lose their fur. They will start to have sores popping up on their skin from their urine because it is so caustic. It's very basic. It's not acidic, it's basic. It's the opposite. But it will cause burns and cause them to lose their fur. So this is one reason why we don't recommend solid bottom cages or solid bottom anything, hutches. And I do not recommend building something out of wood for housing your rabbits. You're like, well, why not, Jeremy? Because you will not have rabbits very soon. They will chew through a 2x4 overnight to escape. They will dig through plywood in a matter of minutes if they really want what's on the other side of the plywood. I recommend a wire cage that is made out of a minimum 16 or 14 gauge galvanized after welding wire. The smaller the number, the larger the wire. So 20 gauge is very small, 14 gauge is much larger. That gives more rigidity in the cage so it doesn't flex, and also so that it doesn't wear and rub the pad of the foot of the rabbit. When you're looking at cages, the floor must be no smaller, the holes must be no smaller than 1 inch, or excuse me, than 1 inch by ½ inch. I have some examples of all that wire and what it looks like at our booth so we can show you what to look for in a cage. And the sides can be 1 inch by 2 inch or 1 inch by 1 inch, and the roof is usually the same as the sides. And that gives an appropriate amount of surface area for the rabbit to stand on without any problems. Now, if you are going to raise a fancy breed like a Rex, you can put a resting mat in there. They make special rabbit resting mats. They're rubber or plastic, and you put it in there so they can, if they want to, they can get off of the wire. Or you can just get a piece of 1 by 12 or 1 by 10, cut it in a 10 or 12 inch section, and set it in there. They'll chew on it, they'll flip it around, they'll lay on it, they'll pee on it, but when you're done with it, you can throw it in the burn pile, and it's a little more eco-friendly than the plastic, if they do end up chewing on it. But that's it. They're really simple to care for. If you're going to have them stacked, just make sure you have the manure trays and stuff to catch underneath so you can catch the manure and the urine. All right? All right, feeding them. There's nothing wrong with just starting with feeding them a commercially made feed from Tractor Supply or your local farm store. Don't let anybody judge you for that. Oh, I only feed my rabbits the most organic, self-foraged stuff. Oh, foo-foo on you. Sometimes we have to do what's best for the rabbits, and that means giving them a whole, balanced diet. You can go and pick them dandelions and clover and whatever to try to feed them, but unless you understand the nutritional values of each and every forage that you're cutting for them and feeding them, there's a good chance they're going to be deficient in protein, vitamin A or D, vitamin E. So unless you have that knowledge, start basic and feed them a commercial pellet. I know that you're like, wow, I want to do everything myself. Okay, fine. But as I tell everybody, take a scientific approach to it if you are going to change their feed and try to forage for their feed or grow their feed. Always start with a known quantity, right? You know you have good rabbits, you know they make good babies, you know feeding them a quality, balanced diet made by a commercial pellet, and you get 10 babies every litter, you know they're growing out full grown and ready to process in 10 to 12 weeks. Start there, go 6 months and so you know